to JMC Wiki Learning. Today we are going to look at the English literature for grade 10 children. As you know, in English literature, your anthology book, you have 4 poems prescribed for second term syllabus. Out of the 4 poems that you have for second term, I will be looking at the first poem. What's the first poem? Big Match. Big Match, 1983. Let's move on to the next slide. Children, what is a big match? Have you gone to a big match? What is this? Yes, this is a match, a cricket match played by the 2 big public schools. These examples are from Sri Lankan context, but the big matches are played in international level as well. So what do they do? The players, some players get the victory, some players are not getting the victory, they get defeat, and they can show a good sportsman spirit when they have a good big match. These are organized by the very famous public schools, right? It happens in the international level as well. Let's move to the next slide. Big match. Now I have 2 pictures over here. The big match as the game and some matchsticks. Well, in this poem, the poetess is trying to say that this big match has 2 meanings. One is the big match, the game between 2 people, and matchstick. What does the matchstick do? In a matchstick, they ignite a fire. Ignites, it causes a fire. So, can you guess a relationship between these 2 pictures? 2 players, 2 teams, ignites a fire, causes a fire. What do you think? It's kind of a conflict, right? So, in this poem, the poetess is trying to convey a message that is relevant to a conflict which has happened in 1983. Let's move on to the next slide. Well, these are the pictures from Black July 1983. You might not have born at that time in 1983, but we had a stigma in our country. It's a historical stigma that we had in 1983 in the month of July. That's same as the poetess has indicated. It has happened between two ethnic groups. You know there are 4 ethnic groups in Sri Lanka: Sinhalese, Tamils, Muslims and Burghers. In this Black July, who are the 2 groups that were involved? Sinhalese and Tamils. Sinhalese were the majority of the population, involves Sinhala, and the minority represents from Tamil. So these are the pictures from Black July which happened in 1983. It's a total disaster, a destruction in our country. Can you see the black flames? They started to destroy all the buildings. The Sinhalese came and destroyed the Tamil people's businesses, the humanity, the civilians itself they destroyed. And even vice versa, even the Tamils came, Tamils, so-called patriots, the riots actually, they formed a group and they started destroying everything in Sri Lanka. It was a huge stigma. And I do not think that each individual pupil has involved in this type of action. It is some riots, like if you take the majority from Sri Lanka, it's some people who are so-called riots have involved in this destruction. So you can see the pictures now here. In this picture, you can see that they are taking out the pieces from the buildings and throwing it to the fire. And here there's a huge flame coming up, right? And all the buildings are burning live. Let's look at this. This is the article from the newspaper. It says Black July 83, never again. It's a cartoon sketch. There's a small boy over here, and he actually sees his dreams and hopes are all destroyed. What is he seeing at the back of it? People are fighting, and the poor people are getting assassinated by the so-called patriots. And see, the children are also dying live. And look, someone over here are hanging, right? So it should be stopped. This is a total violence. This is a black mark in our country. Look at this picture over here. This is a car which is left with one single door open. And what happened to the rest of the car? The rest of the car is burned. There's nobody in the street. No one. Everything is burned out. This is the consequences of Black July. See, these are some more pictures. See, this is how these may be the businessmen of these shops. They are when they come in the morning to see their shops, they are being burned out by the riots or the patriots, right? So it's all destroyed, and they are so sad about it. That's a pathetic situation. And look at this man. He just throwing some his footwear to somebody else's. That is with hatred and violence. This is how they start the violence from the patriots, or we call as the riots. This should not be continuing. So this was happened in July 1983. Let's move on to the next slide. Oh, this is the poetess who has written the poem Big Match 1983. The most important thing is that she is a Sri Lankan. Her name is Yasmin Gunaratne. Yasmin Gunaratne is a Sri Lankan novelist and a poet, and she is a critic. She also wrote many poems and lots of novels. She gained her primary education from Bishop's College and graduated from the University of Ceylon. She has a PhD in English literature from Cambridge University. She is now in Australia. She is a resident in Australia. She has moved to Australia. And now, being in Australia, she has got several other posts, like she is the chair of English literature at Macquarie University and the foundation director for post-colonial literatures and languages at research centers. So let's move on to the next slide. These are her other publications. So if you are interested, you can actually read them. They might be available at the library as well. So let's read her other publications. The first one is A Change of Skis, which is written in 1991, The Pleasures of Conquest, The Sweet and Simple Kind in 2006, and these three are the poems that she wrote. And she also worked as a poet, and she also has been working as a novelist. So these are the novels and these are the poems. So the first poem is Bird Motif in 1971. The Lizard's Cry, 1972. 6,000 Feet Death Dive in 1981. So if you are interested, you can actually read them again. Okay, let's look at a small video on our Black July. As I told you earlier, you might have not born at that time. So this is a very good video for gaining some insight knowledge about what happened in 1983 Black July, the time of Black July. Let's watch this. what you see here? Everything is burning alive. Everything is on fire. This is a consequences which happen due to the racism. Okay? Because this was done by the so-called riots, the patriots. It's a harmful action. The innocent people are getting burned, and all over Sri Lanka the fire is flaming alive, right? So this was happened in 1983, almost 37 years ago. The reflection. The reflection says the title. As I told you earlier, the big match has, what is big match? The big match is a cricket match or a play between two groups. Big match. I hope you have seen a big match or heard about it, or maybe you have seen in your television. That is what we call as a big match. And that big match, in this poetess has said there is a nuisance. That means there is the meaning of the word match has two meanings. The match has two meanings. One is the big match. The big match is a game and it causes fire. Matchstick, with a matchstick. The big match, the game, and the matchstick causes the fire. It ignites a fire. So two groups with a ravage, with a hatred, they cause a fire. Structure. So children, I suppose you have to go back to your anthology and turn to page number 10. In that you will see the Big Match 1983 is the longest poem in your anthology, which has 7 stanzas and 61 lines. It's the longest poem in the anthology. So have you seen that? In page number 10. Poem analysis. Page 10. Children, you have to follow with me, and there are a lot of difficult words you will come across. Please underline them and write down the meaning in pencil in your anthology book. So please pay attention, and if you have any other difficulty, please refer dictionary. Don't forget to refer the dictionary. Okay, so you have to understand the poem, read once, twice, and understand it well, because it is very useful for you to write the context question as well as the essay questions in your term test papers, and it will be a very good guidance for you to write the O-level papers as well. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so this is stanza 1, right? So I'm going to read this stanza 1, and then please follow with me. Please pay attention. Write down the notes. Okay, so if you have any difficult words, please refer the dictionary. So I'm going to read the poem. Glimpsing the headlines in the newspapers, tourists scuttle for cover, cancel their options on rooms with views of temple and holy mountain. Flashpoint in paradise, racial pot boils over, and even the gone away boy who had hoped to find lost roots, lost lovers, lost talents even, out among the palms, makes timely return, giving thanks that Toronto is quite romantic enough for his purposes. So what does that mean? Glimpsing the headlines. Glimpsing, you look at, you see. See, or you can say look at the headlines in the newspapers. Tourists, who are tourists? Tourists are the people who come to Sri Lanka to enjoy the natural beauty. We have a very nice beauty, so to enjoy the natural beauty, tourists from other countries come and enjoy. Also because of the climate. They scuttle. Scuttle is move quickly. Move quickly. for cover. Tourists scuttle for cover. They move quickly for cover. Just like who are moving quickly for cover? Who's covering? There's an animal. There's a good example. The hare. They are like hares. Tourists scuttle for cover. Cancel their options on rooms with views of temple. When they book hotel rooms, they would like to have a view on their temple. We are not sure what temple it is, but it says view on temple, views on temple and holy mountain. What's the holy mountain in Sri Lanka? That is more important for all 4 ethnic groups. Yes, it's called Sri Pada. We also call as Adam's Peak. You might know about that. So holy mountain. They want to see the view on the holy mountain and view on the temples. So what do? They cancel. They don't want this. They cancel their options on this view on the temple and the holy mountain. Flash point. Here, flash point in paradise. Flash point. Flash, what's that? It's the critical point. Very important point in paradise. What is paradise? Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is the paradise. Critical point in Sri Lanka. Racial pot. Pot is just the pot, boils over. Racial, ethnic groups or ethnicity. Ethnicity boils over. These are the headlines which were in the newspaper headlines. Paradise, they call as a paradise in Sri Lanka. This is not in Sri Lankan or the local news. This is being a headline in the international media, right? It was in the international media. Flash point in paradise and racial pot boils over. This is sort of exaggeration. You are familiar with exaggeration. This is not the exact point. They are exaggerating, saying more things about it. And also, this has a sarcastic view. Flash point in paradise, Sri Lanka and racial pot boils over. And even the gone away boy. Who's this gone away boy? Why do the people go? Expatriate. We call them as a expatriate. Who are expatriate? Those people who move to other country, but they are born and brought up in Sri Lanka, but they move to other countries, maybe for a job or to study further, or maybe they have family in other countries. But this boy has come to Sri Lanka for vacation. But can he have a vacation in this month of July? No, not at all, because there is a violence, the ethnic conflict has arisen. So, and even the gone away boy, that expatriate who had hoped to find lost roots, lost lovers, lost talent even out among the palms. Where do you find the palms? Palms are something which to do with northern, or in Jaffna you can find the palm tree, something related to palm. So it's a boy is representing from the northern side of Sri Lanka. Northern side of Sri Lanka. So he has lost his lovers, lost his roots, lost his talents. Everything is lost. Where are they? Makes timely return, giving thanks. He said he's at the particular time he is returning back to the place or the country where he was, and he is thanking that Toronto, where is that from? Toronto is a city in Canada. Toronto is a city in Canada. And this boy here is quite romantic. He says that Canada is quite romantic. It's fulfilling his needs enough for his purpose. So he says his loved ones, everyone has moved to Canada. Most of the population in Canada are Tamils, right? So most of the Sri Lankans have moved, Tamilians have moved because of this racial violence. They can't stay in a country like this because it's harmful for them. They can't do any other things in their lives. So they have moved to a beautiful place called Toronto, which is in Canada, leaving Sri Lanka behind. So that's the meaning of stanza 1. Let's look at the stanza 2. Please follow this and take down all the notes. If you have any difficulties, please check the dictionary, and I will also be explaining each and every word. So first I will be reading this poem. Powerless this time to shelter or to share, we strive to be objective, try to trace the match that lit this sacrificial fire. The steps by which we reach this ravaged place, we talk of 48 and 56, of freedom and the treacherous politics of language. See the first sparks of this hate, fanned into flame in 1958, yet find no comfort in our neat solution, no calm abstraction, and no absolution. Let's look at the first line. Powerless. You have no power. Powerless, this time to shelter or share. We strive to be objective. What's that? We strive. We struggle. We struggle. We struggle to be objective. Be honest. Objective is honest. We struggle to be objective, to be honest, and try to trace the match that lit this sacrificial fire. Sacrificial fire. The fire is not just a fire or a burn, it's a sacrificial. That means everything you have to be sacrificed. Your property, your loved ones, your books, and everything you have to sacrifice. You have to dedicate to this fire. That's why the poetess has written sacrificial fire. The steps by which we reach this ravaged place, the steps, one by one, the steps we follow to reach, to move into, to reach, to go into this ravaged place. What is ravaged? Damaged. Damaged. Steps in which we involve to go into the damaged place, that is our Sri Lanka, the nation. We talk of 48. 1948. What's that? What is so significant in 1948? Yes, we got the independence. There were rulers. The British were ruling. Not only British, Portuguese and Dutch people, they were all ruling our country. And finally, we got the independence in 1948. That's the significance here. We talk of 48 and 56. 1956. What happened in 1956? Yes, Sri Lanka, the Sinhala language got considered as the official language in Sri Lanka. Okay, so 1948, the independence, 1956 is become the official language in Sri Lanka. Of freedom and treacherous politics of language. Treacherous politics of language. What is treacherous? Treacherous means very much a dishonest, opportunistic. This is what called opportunistic. Treacherous means dishonest. So, who made this language the official language? The politicians. The politics made it. It's from the treacherous, dishonest politicians made the language, and they also got the country independence in 1948, right? So it also says the treacherous politics of language. Treacherous politics, it's because of a effect from the politics, right? The language has become the official because of a political reason. See, the first sparks of this hate fanned into the flame in 1958. In 1958, what has happened in 1958? There's another year, 1958. There was some group formed together. They were riots. They actually started the violence again, right? The first sparks of this hatred fanned into the flame. Flame means it was getting more, the hatred is getting more. It's probably the Tamil group. They get together in 1958 and started hating this country for because of the political reasons. Yet, find no comfort. There is no comfort in this neat solution. We thought that we will find a better solution with these steps that involved in these particular years. But do you find any neat solution, any sort of a great solution for our Sri Lankan, not only the Sri Lankans, all the ethnic groups? Not at all, no solution at all. No calm abstraction, no calm abstraction. Abstraction means thought. Thought. No calm abstraction or thought, and no absolution. Absolution here is the, in this say, this is a release. Release. So there is no solution, a neat solution, no pure thought or no release on whatsoever. We are flaming as one country because of this treacherous politics. Hope you understand. Let's move on to the next slide. Stanza 3. Stanza 3. So let me read this stanza. The games in other hands in any case, these fires ring factory and hovel, and big match fever, faring high and fast, has both sides in its grip and promises, dizzier scores than any at the oval. So this stanza has a lot of meanings, so please take down all the meanings. So let's start from the first line. The games in other hands in any case. The games in other hands. The poetess says, even if you play a big match, it is a game. Even the fire that is caused by a matchstick is also kind of a game. So games in other hands in any case. It could be a game in any case. How is that possible? Even this type of violence is called as a game by the poetess. Let's see why she has made such kind of a comment. These fires ring factory and hovel. These fires come to a factory. Factory and hovel. Factories. Usually factories are owned by wealthy people, or you also call as opulence. Opulence means these are opulence. Rich people. We also call these as rich. Factories are owned by rich people. Hovel, just like in this image. Hovel. It's a hut, small hut. Who lives in this hut? Yes, the poor people. Poor people are living in this. So whoever you are rich or poor, you will get the fire. Whatsoever your background is, your racism is, you will be fired in, ultimately you will be fired. Factory or hovel. And big match fever. Have you heard this word, big match fever? When you have a real game as a big match, you have a big match fever. Why do you have a big match fever? Because you want to get lots of score in the match. The poetess in here says it's just similar to the racial violence in the country. The big match fever is flaring high and fast. When you have a big match fever, the flame is flaring high and fast. It is increasing more. Your hatred ideas are increasing rapidly. Has both sides, has two sides in its grip. What is a grip? You hold tight. You hold tight. What do you really hold tight for? What do you really hold tight for? Your promises, your targets. Your promises means your targets. Or objectives, right? So, when you have a big match fever, you want to go to your target, your objective. You want to score more marks. Just like that, in this violence, you want to hold tight to your objective of killing people. That's what it means. It says, go to the next line. It says, Decius scores. This is a pure metaphor. Metaphor. You are familiar with these words, metaphor. Decius scores. The scores are really Decius. Why? Decius scores are resemble as the number of deaths. Number of deaths. Decius scores are similar to the number of deaths in a racial violence. But here, in a cricket match or a big match, Decius scores are the number of points that you want to score in a cricket match. So that's what the poetess is trying to say. There is a similarity in the match and the violence here than any at the oval. Now here the oval, can you see the oval over here? So what does the oval symbolizes? The cricket ground or the cricket ground. So the ground. Cricket. The cricket ground is symbolizes as the oval here. There's oval and you want to get more marks, and at the ethnic violence you want to have number of deaths. You have to increase the number of deaths. When you have a big match fever or fever to kill people, that's what the poetess is trying to say, that it has a similar meanings. Let's go to the next slide. Stanza 4. In a tall house, dim with old books and pictures, calm hands quit the clamoring telephone. It's a strange life we are leading here just now. Not a dull moment. No one can complain of boredom, that's for sure. Up all night keeping watch. And then as curfew ends and your brave lads dash out at dawn to start another day of fun and games and general jollity. I sent Padmini and the girls to a neighbor's house. Well, this stanza is about a veteran. Veteran is a person who actually lived for a long time and has gained a lot of experience. Actually, I think this is about a Tamil veteran. Veteran from the northern side of Sri Lanka, a Tamil veteran. Let's see what it says about. In a tall house. What's the significance of a tall? Why does the poet says it's a tall house? It's out of reach. No one can reach there. It's a tall house. It's called out of reach. That's why the poetess has pointed out that's a tall house. Dim with old books and pictures. Can you see? He has collected a lot of books and pictures, but they are old. And it says there is no ventilation or light in the house, it's dim. Usually when the house is dim, when there is no one at house, they want to be secretly be in the house. Next line, calm hands quit the clamoring telephone. Clamoring telephone. Telephone is clamoring, it's always ringing. It's so loudly ringing. Calm hands. These persons have calm hands quit. He is not, is he going to answer this clamoring telephone? He is getting a lot of calls. Is he going to answer? No. So clamoring means loud or always ringing telephone. Ringing telephone, but calm hands quit the clamoring. He is not going to answer. He is calm. It says he is very calm and quiet, and he is living in a tall house where it is out of the reach. It's a strange life we are leading here just now. It's a strange life. It's really pathetic life. We can't even answer the calls. But he is calm right now. So he says strange life means indicates here is the pathetic life. Pathetic life. It's a pathetic life that we are having now. Not a dull moment, not a unhappy moment, or not a strange moment. No one can complain of boredom. That's for sure. Up all night keeping watch. Up all night keeping watch. He is up all night keeping watch. Watch of what? People are coming. Why are the people coming? To disturb them, harass them. Who are these? The patriots, the riots are coming. From which nationality? The veteran is from Tamil. So the Sinhalese people are trying to trouble him. So he is up all night. But his hands are quiet, and his telephone is ringing, but he is not going to answer. And he also complained in a sarcastic way. We are leading here just now. It's a pathetic one, not a dull moment. Do you think it's really what he means? It's not a dull moment? It's not an unhappy moment? He is unhappy. It's a sarcastic statement here. It's not a dull moment. No one can complain. This is inevitable. This is inevitable. You cannot stop. The violence or the racism will come and attack them someday, somehow. That's why they said, keeping in watch and no one can complain. That's for sure. This one is very important. That's for sure, right? This is inevitable. You cannot stop. Someday he has to face it. And then as curfew ends, now because of the racism, you have a curfew. So when the curfew ends and your brave lads dash out at dawn. Dawn means in the morning. Morning. Morning, start another day. And then as curfew ends, just after the curfew ends, your brave lads, your very courageous lads go out early in the morning to start another day. That means there is some sort of a power here. Everyone can't go out when there is when the curfew ends, but those are with power. People who are power can go away, right? Of fun and games and general joys. They can have fun and they can play games and they can have a jolly happiness, jolly good time with others. So who can have a jolly good time and games and play games and fun? Those who are in power, not for everyone. Others are actually having a pathetic life. They are in a so-called violence and so want to hide from this violence. I sent Padmini and the girls to a neighbor's house. Right? Why did he send Padmini and the girls to a neighbor's house? Padmini, who is Padmini? His wife maybe, his wife, and the girls maybe his daughter. Where has he sent these to? To the neighbor's house, to the next house or the neighbor's house. Because to go away from the reality is coming. He is up all night to see if someone is coming. But others who in power, they are having a general jollity. But he sent his wife and the daughters to the neighbor's house. That's what it means. So, as you know, this Padmini and the girls are the Tamil veterans, wife and the children. So, where have he sent the wife and the children? To the neighbor's house. That is for the safety. That neighbor's house is a safety place. But others who are in the power, they are not sending to the neighbor's house. They are actually going out and having a general jollity. Right? They are having fun. But this person is thinking of the safety always. Now in your textbook you will have neighbor spelled as this. So please children, this has to be O, and in here the brave lands, you might come across this word lands, okay. So it's not lands, it is lads. Lads means, what do you mean by lads? Boys or young male crowd or boys, okay. Let's move on to the next stanza. Stanza 5. Who, me? Oh, I'm doing fine. I always was a drinking man, you know, and nowadays I'm stepping up my intake quite a bit. The general idea being that when those torches come within 50 feet of this house, don't you see? It won't be my books that go up first, but me. So now he is introducing himself to the readers. Let's see. Who, me? Who am I? Oh, I'm doing fine. He says I'm doing fine. This is also a sarcastic statement. Oh, I'm doing fine. Oh, I'm doing fine. He says, is he really fine? Not really. He has some fear in the heart. I always was a drinking man, you know, and nowadays I'm stepping up my intake quite a bit. That means he was very happy. He is a happy man. But now it has been reduced. Intake quite a bit. It is being reduced. The happiness is reduced. Due to what? Due to this reason of ethnic violence. The general idea being that when those torches means those people who brings the dangers, they come at night, right? Dangers. They come at night and bringing the danger into these poor civilians. They are innocent people, right? They don't have anything to do with anything, but they are getting harmed by these riots. So they say the general idea being that when those torches come with 50 feet of this house, don't you see? So when they come with 50 feet, when they come, they don't come in one or two, they are coming in a group to their house. And don't you see? It won't be my books that go first, but me. Look, my books. My book says it's a symbol here. He says he's sacrificing himself for the books. He loves books. He loves reading. He sacrificed his books and he says that whoever comes to take him, to kill, it's me that who go first. It's him, the veteran, who goes first, not the books. So he gives a sacrificial life here, right? So the book resembles here as that person is knowledgeable, then educated, he has wisdom, and he is a civilized person. Civilized person, right? So that's what the book here indicates. He is knowledgeable, educated, wisdom and civilized. So do you think he has any sort of bad feelings towards other ethnic groups? Not at all. He is a person, a general civilian who lived in Jaffna. You will read in the books, and he was a free man. But now the tortures here, the dangers are attacking him. He is full of fear now. Let's move on to the next slide. Let's look at the poem. A pause, then steady and every bit as clear, as though we are neighbors, still as we had been in 58. From 1958, they were been together as neighbors, right? They were been from 1958, they were been together as neighbors. So what do you think these neighbors are from? Are they also from the same ethnic group? Maybe a different. I think they are Sri Lankans, Sinhalese neighbors. Okay, so that's what they are highlighting here as neighbors. As though we are neighbors, still as we had been in 58. Thanks. He is giving a thanks. He is saying thanks. He is using courteous language here. The language is different now. Thanks by the way for ringing. The neighbors are ringing and seeing whether they are okay. That's definitely a Sinhalese people. Thanks by the way for ringing. There is nothing you can do to help us. There is nothing you can do to help us. But it's good to know some lines haven't yet been cut. The lines haven't yet been cut. That means the relationships are still there. Relationships are still there. It's remaining same. So he actually saying thanks to his neighbors. Relationships are still there. It's remaining same. So he actually saying thanks to his neighbors, the Sinhalese neighbors, and for giving a call and see whether they are okay. And he also says that this is a sarcastic way. Ironically, he says that there is nothing you can do. This is inevitable. You can't change. Nobody can change. The danger is anyways coming on our way. So no one, even a Sinhalese, Tamils, nobody can stop. It is inevitable. There is nothing you can do to help us. But it's good to know that the relationships are still there. So let's look at the next stanza. Out of the Palmyra fences of Jaffna bristle 100 guns, shop fronts in the Petah, landmarks of our childhood, curl like old photographs in the flames, blood on their khaki uniforms. 3 boys lie dying. A crowd looks silently in the other way. Near the wheels of his smashed bicycle, at the corner of Duplication Road, a child lies dead, and 2 policemen look the other way. As a Stuart man, sweating with fear, falls to his knees beneath a bow tree in a shower of sticks and stones. This is actually continuing this stanza 7. So we'll look at the meanings of each word and whole poem. And there are some more lines coming for stanza 7. So first we'll see the first few lines here. Out of the Palmyra fences of Jaffna. They are talking about the northern part of Sri Lanka. This is the northern part of Sri Lanka. Northern part. Bristle 100 guns, shop fronts in the Petah. Now Petah, belongs to north or south? Yes, south. We call this south as whatever below the Jaffna is called south. All the provinces below Jaffna is called south. PETA is in Colombo, so it's something that to do with the southern part of Sri Lanka. Southern part, northern part and southern part. Shop fronts in PETA, landmarks of our childhood. So landmarks of our childhood, that means childhood. There are so many children are dead in these locations. Curl like old photographs. Curl like old photograph in the flames. So when it is firing up, the photographs are looks like it is curling. Curl like old photographs. It's curling like through the flames. They can be seen. The old photographs are curling through the flames. Blood on their khaki uniform. Khaki uniform. This is the uniform that the police officers wear. Blood on the khaki uniform. Whoever, it's a policeman, lawyer, rich person or a poor person, you get hit by the racial violence, right? Blood on the khaki. He is also being killed. He is also being hurt. And then who else been hurt because of this racial violence? 3 boys lying died. There are 3 boys. Right? They are young boys. The 3 young boys are dying. A crowd looks so silent. A crowd. There's a crowd there. They look silent the other way. They are not looking at these. There's a blood on the khaki uniform. 3 boys are lying die. But this crowd is not looking at them. They are actually, what do you think they are? They are helpless. They can't do anything about it. They are helpless. That's why they are turning their heads away. Helpless. Next we'll see. Near the wheels of his smashed bicycle. Near the wheels of his smashed bicycle. Why does the poet take a bicycle? Bicycle is a hope, a wish of a boy. All the boys, you must have experienced this. They want to have a bicycle in their childhood. So this bicycle has been smashed. It's smashed. It is broken into pieces. At the corner of a duplication road. At the corner of a duplication road, this bicycle is smashed. And where is the boy? The child lies dead. The child is dead. Corner of the duplication road, child is dead. And his bicycle is smashed. And 2 policemen took the other way. What is this all about? 2 police officers are obeying the rules of the government, right? 2 policemen look the other way. They don't care about this. Whatever happened to the civilians, they do not care. They turn their heads away and go. This is something to do with a political influence. Here it is something to do with a political influence. Political influence. That's why the policemen are looking on the other side. A stout man. A stout. What do you mean by stout? A fat person. A fat man sweating with fear. He is sweating. He's like, why are you sweat? Because you are tired or maybe you are scared. Sweating with fear, scared, falls to his knees. He knee down beneath a bo tree. Bo tree is where the Lord Buddha got the enlightenment. So this stout man, the fat man, is falling down on his knees and praying. Why is he praying? He's scared. He wants the religious help. Bo trees, he thinks that it could be help him to get away from the death. After that, what's happening? In a shower, he is in a shower. Shower of what? It's too much of sticks and stones. He's in a shower of sticks and stones. The sticks and stones are throwing at him. While the sticks and stones are throwing at him, he is worshipping the Lord Buddha or the bo tree there, falling down on his knee. He is praying whatsoever. He knows that the death will be there for him for sure. believing on that, he goes on praying, and the sticks and stones are showering. Showering means too many sticks and stones are coming upon him. So let's go to the next few lines of stanza 7. Flung by his neighbor's hand. So who is showering these sticks and stones? Who is throwing these sticks and stones at this stout man? The neighbor's hand. It was the neighbors. It was the Sinhalese or Tamil neighbors. They are flung by these have been flung by their neighbor's hand. The joys of the childhood, friendship of our youth, ravaged. What do you mean by ravaged? This word came across in another line as well. In the first stanza, it's called damaged. Ravaged by pities and politics screaming across our screens, her agony at last exposed, Sri Lanka burns alive. Look at the people. Sri Lanka is burning alive. Flung by their neighbor's hands. Those who were being hit by the neighbor's hand, the joys of the childhood, there's no more joy. All of them have been violated. Joys of the childhood, the friendship of the youth have been damaged by pities and political screaming across our screens, right? Because of the political influence, because of the political influences. Because of the political influences, this has been happened. So everything has been smashed away. No childhood memories, the friendship, the relationships have been broken away. So it says Sri Lanka is burning alive. Sri Lanka is burns alive, right? And so that's all the stanza 7 is. So let's move on to the next slide. Theme of the poem. Now in this poem there are one theme, but there are several things have been expressed by the poet. Let's look at it one by one. Ethnic conflict. Ethnic conflict. There is a conflict. There is a fight, or you can say argument or disruption between the ethnic groups. It is also called as a racial violence. These are mostly similar. Ethnic conflict and racial violence. So when you are writing your essay questions and context questions, you can use this word, ethnic conflict and racial violence. Analyzes the violence and consequences. As you know, it analyzes the violence quite well in detail by the Yasmin Gunaratna, that's the poetess. She analyzes lots of violence and consequences. What consequences? What are the after effect that has been happened due to this ethnic conflict or racial violence? There is a social political factors. As you see the police officers, they look into the other side. Why? That was a great example that is being shown by the poetess Yasmin Gunaratna, saying that there is a social political factors that has influenced this violence. South creates a backlash of northern violence and vice versa. South, I told you, South is all the provinces. People who are in all the provinces just below Jaffna, north side, are called South. So what do they create? A backlash, a negative mark or destruction on the northern violence. Northern people. South creates, actually in this Black July 1983, the South people are the ones who started, and after that it had happened vice versa as well. Struggle of civilians. So struggle, as you know, the veteran, the Tamil veteran is a one good example. He is struggling for life. He sends Padmini and her daughter for the neighboring house. That's clearly indicate the struggle of civilians. Decline of human relationship. Even in the stanzas that we discuss about the Tamil veteran, it says about the decline human relationship. It says that thanks for getting in touch, but I know that you can't help anymore. And Also, the man, the stout man who was worshipping at the Bo tree, he's been hit by his neighbors only. So, the human relationship are declining, deteriorating, right. So, that's the theme, not only one theme, actually there are several themes that's been covered in this poem, which is this is the main theme, but there are other factors that influences this ethnic conflict and racial violence. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, now here we are going to look at the literacy techniques in this poem. So there are several literary techniques that's been conveyed by the poetess Yasmin Gunaratne. So let's look at the first one, irony. As I told you, this is sarcasm is being explained. In which places, the example, there's a flash point in paradise. Those were the exaggerated media headlines. Flash point in paradise, racial pot boils over. That's for sure that no one can complain. These are some of the lines that I have been taken, extracted from the poem, that conveys the irony or the sarcasm of the poet that it has been used in this poem. And imagery. Imagery, as you know, I think you are familiar with these terms, imagery and irony. And imagery is something that you can imagine about. So whenever I read the lines, and as children, as you read the line, you can imagine about the situation. I know you were not being born in this period, in the Black July 1983, but yet by the poetess diligence in his work, you can see that you can really imagine on the situations and how the people were struggling at that moment, right? You got quite a vivid picture on it. Metaphor. Metaphors are, you get some lines that are being compared to, like it says Dizier's course. Why are they called Dizier's course? Dizier means you feel like sleepy course. But in this has a bigger meaning. Metaphors means it has a bigger meaning than a sleepier score. This means that you want to score more, even though it's called as a Dizier's score, but in the racial conflict it says it wants to increase the deaths here, right? Dizier scores more scores. Dizier means more scores, but in real general English it says like Dizier means you are sleepy kind of, right? Scores, right? That sort of metaphors are there, but you just go through the poem once more, you will find more literacy techniques other than this, and more metaphors, more imaginary points, and more irony in the poem. Let's look at the other slide. Okay, summary. Summary, I think I have explained you in detail, and this is something, a battle between the ethnic groups. So you can say the children being hurt, youth being hurt. Youth means the general people, youth, the young people have been hurt, and the majority represents from the Sinhalese groups, minority, the other ethnic groups being hurt, right? There is a pure conflict. Conflict means it's a battle between these groups. Therefore, everyone, not only rich, not only poor, not only lawyers, police officers, all of them, children, youth, general people, everyone has been affected, and there is a pure racial violence. This is being considered as a critical period in Sri Lanka. And it also says there is an insensitivity of killing. Insensitivity. You are not sensitive, you are not sure, you are unaware of killing, but foolish people just do act, and they kill others by knowing what they are doing, unaware of what they are doing. Media exaggeration. The first stanza says there is an international media, title from the international media. So media is also exaggerating the news in Sri Lanka. Political influences, as I told you earlier also, the police officers, the security forces are looking the other way around. That means there is a political influence. Not only that, in 1948, 1958, those are the years that has been prescribed by the poetess. So in these situations also there was a political influences. Feelings. How does the poet feel when she writes this poem? She feels really angry. She has a very angry tone, and she is quite bit frustrated about the Sri Lankan critical situation. So she actually wants to point out to the reader that this is a stigma in our Sri Lankan history, and this is a historical mistake that we have done. Okay, that's all about it. I hope you have enjoyed this poem and you have understood. So what I want you to do is read this poem one or twice again and write down the points that I have explained it. And also if you have any difficulties, please go through a dictionary or something and learn about the poetess and learn about the Big Match and Black Julie more. And try to develop your ideas so that it will be easy for you to write your essay questions and context type questions. Thank you very much.